This is the sound of bats chirping inside a wall. And that is both definitive and diagnostic. However, it's really unlikely you will ever hear that, even when you do have some bats living in your walls. Okay, I should probably explain. When you have bats living in your walls, you will probably never hear them chirping. Which is not to say that bats don't make any noises inside walls. They absolutely do. You're just very unlikely to ever hear that diagnostic chirping sound. And in this video, we're going to talk about why that is, the other wall noises you are more likely to hear, and whether or not they come from bats or some other animal. The answers are pretty wild. So buckle up and join us today as we answer the question, what do bats sound like in walls? I feel I should mention that I'm Benjamin and I am a residential bat specialist. And people hire us because they have bat problems.
And they know they have a bat problem because they see bats coming out of their roof at dusk. They see bats going into their houses. They are finding bats in their attic. Or they find bat poop in the attic, or on the ground outside, or on their window ledges. Others know they have bats because they get them showing up inside their houses. And to say they don't like that is an understatement.
Bat control specialist.
But most of my customers never hear bats chirping inside their walls.
Which may seem odd until you learn that most residential bat colonies are small, with just a handful of members that regularly move back and forth between several houses.
And when you only have a few bats living in your house part-time, it makes it very unlikely that you will ever hear them, or even know they're there.
Which is why when most homeowners call me concerned about possibly hearing bats in their walls, they're not hearing that diagnostic chirping sound. They're hearing more ambiguous noises, things like chewing, scratching, and shuffling. Well, chewing sounds are 100% not bats.
And that's because bats won't chew on anything other than flying bugs. Chewing sounds generally mean you have a mouse problem, and it might be time to fire the cat.
But scratching and shuffling can come from either bats or mice, and there is no way to know for sure which one it is unless you have X-ray vision or are willing to smash the wall open. But if I had to bet on which animal it is, I'm always putting my money on mice. And that's because mice are by far the most common animal that gets into our houses.
And learning just how common was one of the biggest surprises of my career. Now, I am a bat specialist, and when you hire us, we are going to use a two-stage process to fix the problem. We start by sealing up all the openings on the building exterior that the bats might use to enter the building. While we're doing this, we're looking for the places where the bats are actively going in and out. And that's where we install devices that allow the bats to get out, but not back in.
Nope.
We call them excluders or one-way doors, and it's this magic combination of excluders and prevention work that we use to humanely get the bats out of your building and keep them out permanently.
The only problem with this is that if you have both mice and bats, all that caulking and sealing is going to seal off openings being used by mice too.
Now, the mice in theory could use our excluders to go outside, but bat excluders are designed to let bats jump out into open air. And, well, I'm just going to say this, mice can't fly.
But since mice, like bats, have to come out almost every night to find food and water, that means they will have to find another way out, and quickly. Now, in our experience, anytime we trap mice inside a building, they usually solve this dilemma quite easily by either chewing holes in our caulking or, even worse, chewing holes in our plastic excluders, which is one of the reasons we switched to aluminum excluders instead. Still, we rarely ever had any kind of mouse problems on our jobs,
which led us to believe that most of our clients did not have mice. But boy, were we wrong. Just how wrong became apparent a few years ago when we started using fancy new night vision cameras. You see, we got the brilliant idea that we could take these cameras, point them at our excluders, and get lots of great film of bats leaving the house, which we could then show to our customers and use in our videos. But what we mostly got instead
Hello there.
Was a lot of mouse video. And not just a little bit of mouse video, like a ton of mouse video. Now yes, we got some bat footage, but it was nothing compared to the mouse footage. And over the next few months, we learned that it wasn't just some of our clients that had mice. No, all of our clients had mice. And many had way more mice than bats. And it also turned out that the mice could easily use our bat exclusion devices to get out. They would then spend the rest of the night climbing up and down the walls looking for a way back in. And if one fell off, it would climb right back up again, seemingly unharmed. And our excluders were really high up. 2 stories generally. Their determination and relentlessness was astonishing to watch and a little frightening too. But seeing that they were unable to get back into the house through our bat excluders made us feel pretty good until this happened. Somehow, this mama mouse, well, 2 stories up and clinging to a vertical wall, managed to grab onto our bat excluder and climb back in. And that's how hard it is to keep mice out of a house. Needless to say, many of our bat customers are shocked to learn that they have mice. In fact, some refuse to believe us until we show them the video. Holy. And these are homeowners that know they have bats, but most are telling us they have no idea that they have mice too. Now, some of you may have noticed that all I've really done in this video is tell you that you have mice, but haven't actually helped you figure out if you have bats too. But because mice live in way more houses than bats, and every house with bats has mice too, even if you don't believe it, your default assumption should always be that any noise coming from inside your wall is mice, unless you hear this sound, which in my experience is still pretty rare. Now, happily, there are fantastic methods we can use to figure out definitively whether or not you have a bat problem. And thankfully, they will not involve any stupid wall noises. And if you want to learn exactly how we do that, click on this link right here.